This podcast is sponsored by The Generational Algorithm by Francisco Castillo. Discover how to rewrite the emotional code passed down through generations and transform your life. Get your copy today on Amazon at the link in the description.
How to prevent generational trauma after childhood adversity. Explore practical ways to prevent family trauma cycles and heal inherited trauma after childhood adversity for healthier future generations. Breaking the cycle. Preventing generational trauma after childhood adversity. Hey, have you ever thought about how the struggles and pain from our childhood, or even our parents' childhoods, can sneak into our lives without us really noticing? It's like this invisible chain of family trauma that gets handed down, sometimes for generations. As someone who's spent quite a bit of time studying this, I find the topic of preventing generational trauma, especially after childhood adversity, both fascinating and absolutely essential. So let me just set the stage a bit. Imagine surviving a tough childhood, maybe neglect, abuse, or a whole lot of stress. Now, even when you grow up and want the best for your kids, there's a chance those old wounds can shape your behaviors or emotional responses without you realizing it. This is where the idea of intergenerational trauma or inherited trauma comes into play. What's wild is how trauma can be passed down not just through stories or habits, but even through biological changes like epigenetics. It's something experts call transgenerational trauma or multi-generational trauma. It's like your family has this emotional algorithm, a blueprint of pain and coping strategies, that gets rewired and handed down unless we actively work to change it. Now, the big question is, how can we prevent this from continuing? Honestly, it starts with awareness. Once you're aware that inherited trauma exists, you can begin to recognize the patterns in your family. Maybe it's a tendency toward anxiety, difficulty trusting others, or even specific relationship struggles. Naming those patterns is step one. Healing through therapy. Professional support is invaluable. Therapies like trauma-informed counseling can help unpack childhood adversity and stop those feelings from shaping future generations. Breaking the silence. Emotional wounds can thrive in the dark. Talking openly with family members about tough histories creates understanding instead of shame. Developing new coping skills. Instead of passing down old, unhealthy responses, learning healthier emotional regulation and communication skills can change the family dynamic entirely. Mindful self-care and boundaries. Recognizing and respecting your own needs, rather than automatically reacting out of old trauma, helps interrupt the cycle. Connection and community. Building supportive environments where vulnerability is safe eases the feelings of isolation that often come with ancestral trauma. It's not overnight work, and it's definitely not easy. But here's a really cool tool I came across that explains this process in an accessible way. The Generational Algorithm. It's a book that talks about rewriting the emotional code inherited through generations and gives practical ways to create healthier future family stories. If you're curious to learn more or feel like this is something you want to dive deeper into, I highly recommend buying The Generational Algorithm on Amazon. It's packed with insights and strategies to really transform family trauma patterns. So to sum it all up, preventing generational trauma after childhood adversity isn't about blaming your parents or your past. It's about understanding how certain emotional wounds get inherited and learning how to change the emotional algorithm your family passes along. It's empowering to know that you can write a new story for yourself and the generations to come. If you have someone in your life who might benefit from this kind of healing, or if you've felt these cycles in your own family, I'll say it again. Awareness, compassionate communication, and intentional change are the keys. Your family's history shapes you, but it doesn't have to define you. Thanks for sticking with me through this chat. I hope it gave you some food for thought, and maybe even a little hope on healing the past for a better future.